All right, today is week 10 of Ultimate Launch. And you've heard me say this before, and we'll say it again. Don't worry if you missed any of the weeks before, because we'll take a short break from Ultimate Launch, and then we start it right over again. So if you missed any one of the weeks, we'll start it again. And actually, I am in the process of updating Ultimate Launch and adding some new stuff, just because things change all the time. So, and I get tired of presenting the same week after week. So we make it a little better each time. So if you missed a week, please, you have that opportunity to do it. Give me a few weeks to get the new additions in there and get it revamped. We'll put it right back up. And if you've watched it before, we're gonna add some new stuff into Ultimate Launch. So Ultimate Launch will be different next time around for those of you who have been here. So week 10, and this is a first. So we added week 10, just this series. So anybody who took Ultimate Launch last time didn't have week 10, the first offer. It was just a review. But as you guys are learning and growing, as I'm learning and growing as a broker, I kind of jot down all the questions that you guys ask me and all of the suggestions that you guys have along the way. And that's how this program has grown. It's also how Ultimate Techniques has grown over the last 2 years. And we do that one not as often as Ultimate Launch, but we do Ultimate Techniques about twice a year. So if you've completed all 10 weeks, if this is your 10 week and you've completed all 10 weeks, then you definitely want to jump on to the second training, which is Ultimate Techniques of Top Producers. So what that does is it takes everything you've learned here, and it takes you a step further. Like, okay, now that you've built the basics, where do we go from here? What do you do with all of this stuff that you've created now from the 10 weeks that we've spent here? Well, that's where we show you how to do it, okay, for the long term. So that's where you learn all of your systems, where you can kind of set it and forget it. You can put things in Drive behind the scenes while you're out working with clients so that your pipeline never dwindles away. All right, so let's jump into it. This is the first offer. Some of you on this call have done 1 or 2 offers. Some of you on this call have done no offers. There's a couple on this call that have done quite a few who are like pros at doing offers. So if you are a pro at doing offers and you can add in some things that you do that make it like easier or make communication better or whatever the case, please unmute yourself and just chime in. You don't have to raise your hand. You don't have to do any of that stuff. Just chime in. Let me know. I'm going to be jotting it down because who knows? Next time around might be part of our course here. So first offer. All right. So prepping for your first offer, submitting your first offer as a real estate agent is a big step that requires preparation, confidence, and attention to detail. Now, attention to detail. For all of you in the room who are very much like me, have these very creative, very fast thinking minds, because we are marketers, we are salespeople. Sometimes attention to detail is really hard for some of us to grasp. And then there's other people who it just seems to come so easy. So attention to detail is a big deal when it comes to your first offer. And this is the time to slow it down, take a breath, and really make sure that you have everything that you need and that everything is where it needs to be. So it's more than just paperwork. It's about representing your client's interest, negotiating effectively, and setting the stage for a smooth transaction. The more you prep at the beginning, the easier time you'll have during the transaction, I promise. So in this week, we're going to walk through step by step of what you need to do, every step you need to take from offer to under contract, okay? So first, you need to understand your client's needs and goals. So before understanding what to put in an offer, it's essential to clarify your client's objections. We're going to spend time talking to them about things like price, timelines, contingencies. Do they want a quick close? Do they have a house to sell? Do they have a lease that they have to get out of? What does this look like? And some people trip over this step. You know, when we talk about their deals and I ask them, I'm like, okay, what does your client want? Sometimes I get like the deer in headlights, you know, for the agent looking back at me like, well, I don't know. Well, how am I supposed to know that? You ask. It's just as simple as asking. You know, Mr. Buyer, yes, I know that you love this home. I know that we've talked a little bit about what's important to you, but I think we're at this point where we really just need to sit down and make sure nothing has changed. So tell me a little bit about what's most important to you, just so that I have that fresh in my brain again. Or I know you have a house to sell. You talked before about, it wasn't that big of a deal. You could buy the home. You didn't have to sell first. Is that still the case? I just want to make sure that I'm writing this exactly the way you want it. Okay, so super easy. Nobody's going to be offended if you ask them that, especially if you're starting with, I know that we've talked a lot along the way, but things change, feelings change, situations change. Just want to make sure that I have it down pat. Okay. Next, research comparable sales and market conditions. Have this ready. Okay. You're going to need to know that what they're offering, not only do they feel confident in it, but you feel confident in it. Trust me, you can sell a product to a seller, meaning your offer. You can sell your offer to the seller or to the seller's agent when you believe strongly in it. There's no better salesperson who is selling what they love, what they use, and what they believe in. So make sure that you understand that market, especially if maybe it's a little nook or town that you're not super familiar with. And that happens all the time with us real estate agents. So make sure that you know the market, know whether the trends are going up or down. Ask the listing agent questions. Hey, have there been a lot of showings on this property? Do you think we're going to encounter multiple offers? Just trying to get a feel, because we're going to sit down and talk about an offer. How does the seller feel about making repairs or those types of things? Whatever is important to your buyers, whatever's driving your buyers, make sure that you're getting that information up front. So you could do a lot of research by just having conversations with people. And I don't mean texting. Stop texting people so much. Pick up the phone, have a meaningful conversation with the agent in a very professional manner. And they'll 99% of the time are going to tell you the information that you need to be able to educate your clients appropriately. Another thing you can do is you can run kind of a mock CMA to get some comps on RPR. You can look up comparable neighborhood sales on the multi-list, and you can also pull a Realist report and provide that data to your clients so that they're well-versed before making their offer on this property, if you haven't done so already up to this point. All right, next, you want to confirm financing and gather documentation. So you want to make sure that they have a pre-approval and that your pre-approval is, relatively new. Please don't present an offer with a 6-month-old pre-approval letter, and please don't submit an offer with a pre-qual letter. For those of you who do not know the difference between a pre-approval and a pre-qual, I'm going to tell you in about 5 seconds what the difference is. A pre-qualification is somebody who goes online, enters their name, telephone number, address, email address. I make this much money. I've worked here for this number of years. And then the computer pumps out, sure, given all that information, subject to this big long list of stuff, will pre-qualify you. Okay. So literally anybody who fibs on an application can get a pre-qual pretty easily. A pre-approval takes it a step further. That is where the lender is having the client fill out an immense amount of information, providing things like proof of employment, bank statements, pay stubs, tax returns, actually doing a hard pull, not a soft pull on their credit. And I'll come back to what the differences are there. But they're going through the trouble of really qualifying the client, having meaningful conversations with them about things like cash needed to close, what their payment is going to be, making sure that there's that affordability factor there and that the precedent is set ahead of time. All right. So when you are submitting an offer, you need to make sure that you have a pre-approval, not a pre-qualification, because any experienced agent who's worth their salt is going to kick back a pre-qual and say, take these unqualified people who are not ready to put in an offer nor buy a house elsewhere and let me know when they're well qualified. Okay. Real quick side note, hard pull, soft pull. If you've ever pulled your credit on Credit Karma or any other type of website, that's considered a soft pull. It means that it's a general pull. A lot of times the credit score that you're seeing as a consumer is a little inflatedly higher than what a lender would do. A hard pull is actually getting down to those specific scores and knowing what all three trade scores look like. So I'm not going to go into that now. We have other financing training that will discuss that, but just so you know the difference. Okay.
Once, if I could chime in real quick, One thing I like to do is once I get the pre-approval letter, is I actually call and speak with their representative.
Yeah, absolutely. I absolutely would. Absolutely. No, that's a
I
great
think
tip.
that's a good point too, because there might be other factors that are to their pre-approval, like they might need assistance, they might need so those things are good to know ahead of time.
Yep, they may have to pay off debt as part of the closing. They may have to sell a home before they can buy. Yep, nope, absolutely. These are all great tips. All right, wonderful stuff. Keep them coming, guys. So make sure that you have confirmed their financing, gather documentation, make sure that you are confident that they know the money down that they need at closing. That's another part of talking to the finance representative. And please, 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 please do this. I don't care if they are your first cousin twice removed. Get ID from your clients. Get identification from your clients. Before your clients sign any listing documents, sales documents, any type of legally binding agreement, you should be getting a copy of their photo ID. This is not optional. We do not have clients sign legally binding documents without verifying their identity. This is a huge problem. So gather their documents, confirm their identity, please. If they give you their ID, take a picture of it on your phone, upload it into the documents in SkySlope. We're going to talk about SkySlope in a minute. Have them send you a photo of their ID, have them come into the office, photocopy a copy of their ID. You must check ID. The burden of verifying a person's identity is on the real estate agent and brokerage. So verify ID. I promise you, fraud is a huge concern in real estate. You don't want to be caught in the middle of it. Okay. So verify ID. Prepare the offer documents with precision. So accuracy and thoroughness in paperwork reflect professionalism and commitment. So review your offer templates and ensure you know each section from the purchase price to the earnest money, contingencies, and closing times. I promise you there is no better way to get your offer rejected than to submit a sloppy offer. There is no better way to get your offer rejected than to present a sloppy offer. You will also have a very pissed off listing agent who will remember this for 20 years from now. I promise, 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 promise. So take your time. This is where, again, going back to that, we're salespeople, we're high energy. It's great to have that energy. We want to pump our clients up. We want to have that go get them attitude because, our buyers, they're nervous, they're scared, they're going through a lot of different emotions, and it's our job to make them feel safe and secure. But this is the moment when we're by ourselves and we're preparing this offer that we need to slow it down, take a breath, and make sure that the documents are appropriate. You know how in carpentry, and I go to carpentry because my dad was a union carpenter, and he always told me, you measure twice, cut once, right? I'm sure Rebecca's dad says it too. Measure twice, cut once. You don't measure once and cut, because then you measure again and you've found that you've cut the board too short. You measure twice, cut once. Same goes with an offer.
I've heard it a million times.
Yep. Same thing goes with an offer. Prepare your offer. Review your offer for accuracy before you send that offer for signature, okay? So just make sure everything is good, slow it down, and just make sure this is a legally binding document, okay? This is one of the most important parts of our job.
Reviewing it is what takes me the longest, because I sit there and I just scroll it again and again, and even when I go to sign it, I scroll it again.
Yep, so. And it should be the longest part. It really should, because one checkbox can change the whole offer. One contingency can make that offer get accepted or rejected. one extra zero or one less zero makes a difference. I mean, think if you're putting an offer on a $200,000 house and you miss a zero, well, that 200,000 went to 20,000. And you're in a multiple offer situation. Are you getting the house? No. The buyers wanted to offer 200. You put in 20,000. You know, so the smallest details matter. All right, step 5. Discuss and finalize offer terms with your client. Please don't send these contracts out blind. You know, during COVID, we were all stuck inside. We all became this part of this digital world. We're doing it now. We're on a Google Meet. I'm sitting in the office, and all of you are in the comfort of your home or in your car or sitting on your deck. I can't see most of you, but we've entered this beautiful digital world where you can literally work anywhere. But we've also, because we have these tools, we've all gotten, frankly, lazy. So a lot of times, whether it's us, whether it's a title company, whether it's the lender, we just send out DocuSigns just flying all over the place. And if you've ever signed a DocuSign, you know that the minute you click the button to start, it brings you straight down to the signature. Even trying to scroll up to read the document is like such a pain in the butt, right? It wants to zip you back down to the bottom. So it's important that you explain to the buyer what they're signing before they sign it. Allow them to view that document, allow them to ask questions, go over the cliff notes with this client, make sure that they understand the important details. Things like the purchase price and the escrow money and the closing date and when the seller has to respond. Things like if seller's limited to holding funds. Those things are all super important. So you should be going over it page by page by page and providing the cliff notes, allowing them to ask questions, allowing them to change their mind before you send that document out to sign.
Christina, to that end, for me, it actually begins with, like, I love, like, so my buyers actually get a copy of the Consumer Guide to the Agreement of Sale, which is available through the Pennsylvania Association of Realtors.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a great resource for buyers to help them understand the agreement of sale. And it also helps me, like, guide me along, you know, keep me sharp when it comes to the agreement of sale and its dynamics. So I think it's really a great resource for consumers. So I would suggest it to everybody to check it out.
Yeah, no, it is. It's a great resource. It's right in your forms library in SkySlope. So it is right there. I believe there's a copy of it as well in our seller and buyer books, our template books. But yeah, I use that myself a lot. And for you new agents who do not know the wording of the sales agreement from cover to cover, and you're going to have to memorize it. That consumer guide is really going to be helpful for you to use while you're studying that, to really understand every paragraph and then how to explain that in very simple terms to your client. So, because you should be giving them the cliff notes and then allowing them to ask questions and understand. All right, number 6, step 6. Amy, it is called the consumer, Jim just said it, consumer guide. What was that called again, the title of it, Jim?
It's a consumer guide to the agreement of sale.
Thank you. Yeah, that's right in your par library in SkySlope. All right, step number 6 is submit and follow up. When it's time to submit the offer, send it to the listing agent promptly and in a clear, organized format. For those of you who need a clear, organized format, I suggest going on to roguagent.com, going to Documents and Resources and scrolling to the bottom. There are email formats that are extremely useful that a lot of our agents use. They're very clear. They're very concise. And all you do is change the names, change the address in there. I mean, it's plug and play. So it tells you exactly what to do and how those emails should be structured. All right, so you want to include any additional documents, such as a pre-approval letter, provide a concise summary to the listing agent, highlighting the strengths of your client's offer, and be ready to ask any questions and follow up proactively. Okay, so this is super important. Also, please do not send an offer to a busy listing agent and not tell them that it's arriving. So you should be communicating with them at least at minimum 2 ways. I always do a call. So I'll call the agent and be like, hey, just wanted to let you know I'm getting ready to submit an offer to your email. Just want to let you know it's coming, and then sending the email over. Never, ever, 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 ever send an offer in a text message. Do not send it on a Google Word. Do not sign it on the back of a napkin. That is not how we do business, and you will end up in an orange jumpsuit. Do not do it. I've said this for the last 18 years to anybody that I've ever coached and mentored. Don't be lazy. Don't do it. You are to use the PAR forms and the PAR forms only when submitting an offer. Anything said verbally, not signed by the parties, not enforceable anyway. So even if the seller says, yeah, I'll accept your offer, write it up, and then they get another offer or just simply change their mind, then you're stuck holding the bag telling your buyers that, well, guess what? You didn't do the paperwork, even though they hired you to do so, and now they've lost the house because unless it's signed, it doesn't exist. Okay, so please make sure that you're doing it right the first time. No side handshakes. Wish that was still a thing. It's totally not a thing. Get that paperwork done properly. All right, questions. No? Great. Either I'm doing a really great job of explaining things or you guys are all sleeping. I'm not sure. All right, required documents. So let's review what you're going to need. So you're going to need a consumer notice. You should have one already if they've been seeing houses, but if you didn't, please get it now. Buyer agency agreement. You have to have a buyer's agency agreement to submit an offer. I know for some of you have been doing this for a while. We didn't always really need one, and we would normally do it at the offer, but now you have to do it in advance. So please make sure you have that. You want to get the seller's disclosure statement for your clients and have them sign off on that. That needs to be done at time of offer, or else there needs to be a contingency placed in there that you were not provided a copy of the seller's disclosure. Lead-based paint addendum if the home was built before 1978. So please get that lead-based paint addendum unless this is a newer home. OGM disclosure. OGM stands for oil, gas, and mineral rights. And OGM disclosure needs to be signed here in the state of Pennsylvania because we have gas wells just about everywhere now. Standard agreement of sale. So make sure you're getting that standard agreement of sale. That's how your offer comes in. And trust me there, if you are brand new or just entering, don't worry, your mentor is going to show you how to do all of these documents. So not to worry. Buyer's estimated cost sheet. This is one where I want to stop just a minute. Buyer's estimated cost sheet. Buyer's estimated cost sheets are really easy to do and really easy to learn if your buyer is paying cash for a property. So we have a whole template for that. If your buyer is using a loan to get a property, you need to work with the lender to get an accurate buyer's estimated cost sheet. Now, in your SkySlope checklist, which again, we're going to talk about here in a few minutes, you can use the PAR buyer's estimated cost sheet to, for your check sheet, and that's compliant with the state. You can also use a cost sheet that was provided by the lender. And even though there's no signature line on it, you just put a signature line. They can sign the bottom, they can sign the side, they can sign wherever they want, as long as it's been disclosed what costs they could incur at closing. Okay, so you can use either one of those. That's kind of a weird document where you could use our form, they could use a lender's form. If there's a loan, please contact the lender, give them the details of the offer, and then, just have them create it. Also, it's important to know that you must tell the lender what you are charging the buyers in way of commission and your broker fee at this time. So they can put that on the cost sheet. If you don't, you're likely not getting your commission or your broker fee. So make sure you're communicating that with the lender. Wire fraud notice. That's something that our brokerage requires, is the wire fraud notice. You want to make sure that you have their pre-approval or their proof of funds. If they're doing a cash offer, proof of funds, like a bank statement, IRA statement, whatever they got. And photo ID. You'll hear me say that 5 times. Photo ID. All right, you get your offer accepted. So what's the next steps? So congratulations, your buyer's offer has been accepted. This is an exciting milestone. But it's also when your responsibilities as an agent shift into high gear. The post-acceptance phase is critical to helping keeping the transaction on track and ensuring a smooth transaction. So First thing, you want to make sure that you have a fully executed sales agreement. It's not an accepted offer until all the parties sign within the time frame. So make sure that you have a fully accepted offer before you collect hand money, have them pay on the earnest app, announce to the buyers that, oh, it's a done deal. Before you do any of the next steps, you need to make sure that you have a fully executed sales agreement. All right. So even if the listing agent says, yes, your offer is accepted, my seller has signed it and returned it to you, this is the time where you need to double check the contract and make sure that there's no like funny crossouts or initials or additions, because that happens sometimes. Double check that contract again and make sure that nobody's changed anything along the way. You want to go ahead and check your timelines. What I always did is with my timelines, I have in there that closing date is going to be May 15th. So I put a little mark in my calendar as a reminder, like an appointment, May 15th, 123 Main Street, closing date. If I knew that I had 10 days for my home inspections, I would go into my calendar, count out 10 days, and then put, home inspection contingency ends 123 Main Street. Okay, super easy way to do it. You do it however it's best for you, but that's what just what I did over the years and still do. All right, then you want to upload the agreement into SkySlope immediately to begin the compliance process. All right, not when you close, when it's accepted. Please put it into SkySlope. All right, distribute copies to all parties. So the buyer, the listing agent, the title company, the lender, and your transaction coordinator and brokerage, which is required. So, and just by putting those into SkySlope works, put them into SkySlope, we'll know they're there. Your TC gets notified that they've been uploaded. Next, you want to order your home inspection. So coordinate with your buyer to schedule home inspection ASAP. Please don't wait on this. You only have about 10 to 14 days, depending on what you put in the contract. So you have a very short period of time to get those home inspectors out there. If you wait until day 9, you call the home inspector, please don't expect the home inspector to come out within 24 hours to do your home inspection. There is a waiting period because they are just busy people. And the more we get into spring and summer, the longer the wait time is going to be. So as soon as that offer is accepted, you should be arranging the home inspection. Next, you want to notify and coordinate with the mortgage lender. If you're using the email template that I told you about when notifying all of the parties that's in ROGU agent, it'll tell you to attach on the lender and the title and the home inspector onto that accepted agreement. So it'll walk you right through it. But you do have to notify the mortgage lender. And then you want to confirm that the buyer has officially started the loan process. You also want to follow up with the lender regularly. I suggest, at first, maybe every week, and then as you're getting closer to the closing time, maybe every couple of days. Order your title work. So you want to contact the lender and open title. And you want to provide them with a copy of the executed sales agreement, buyer and seller contact, lender contact. And you want to make sure that they are hitting those preliminary title work thresholds that are mentioned in the contract. Next, you want to help the buyer secure homeowners insurance. And this is an often skipped step in the process. Usually, like we as agents, and I've done it too, we just forget that they need homeowners insurance. Please don't skip this step. I was really bad at it for a long time as well. I'm going to be completely honest, until I got into the habit of sending it out in the order message. It's okay if the buyers have their own title professional and they want to work with somebody that they have on their own, but understand that especially first-time home buyers may not even know that they need to order home insurance, and it is a requirement of the lender. So not only does the lender need to have it, but the title company needs to know, is their payment due? What's going on? Sometimes the insurance company has to visit the home. So waiting till, the 11th hour to order homeowners insurance could hold up your closing, which makes your buyers mad, which also holds up your commission. So if you're using that template, it will remind you in that template to attach the email for homeowners insurance. Like I said, if they have somebody, they have somebody. They don't have to use who you recommend, but we're giving them an option. You've done your due diligence to make sure that you are informing your clients appropriately and providing them the information that they need. And then next, you want to monitor all deadlines. So keep a close eye on your deadlines. and make sure that you're staying organized in your check sheet. Questions? No? All right. Last couple things. You want to continue updating your sky slope, and you want to stay in constant communication with the parties. Just because your buyer's under contract doesn't mean that your conversations with them stop. Check in with them every couple of days. Make sure they're doing okay. You just want to make sure, like, hey, have you talked to your lender? How's things going? Just want to let you know things are going great here. You know, you have this period of time where the buyers are out, they're seeing houses, they put the offer in, you're doing the home inspection, and you're all over them all the time. And then you have this window where, like, title's doing their thing, the lender's doing their thing, the insurance company's doing their thing, everybody's doing their thing, and you're just kind of sitting there. So you want to make sure that you're following up with them and asking, like, okay, great. Did you get everything over to the lender? Oh, you're having trouble getting him documents. No problem. Well, you know, if you want to stop in the office, we can scan them from the office. Like, is there something I can do? Can I, you know, it's just a matter of making sure that you're there to be supportive, even though there's not a whole lot that you need to do at this stage. Just making sure that you're really supporting them emotionally. Let them know that you haven't deserted them. You're still there. You're just working behind the scenes. You're calming them down when needed, pushing them along, because it is a very stressful situation. Okay. So just make sure that you're proactively trying to solve problems. All right. So now we're going to go over document compliance and commission. The Pennsylvania Real Estate Commission requires that all real estate transactions meet strict documentation and disclosure requirements. These regulations are in place to protect both the consumer and the agent and to ensure transparency in all real estate dealings. You guys learned about this in real estate school, right? As a licensed real estate agent, it is your responsibility to ensure that all required forms are completed accurately, signed by all parties, and submitted in a timely manner. Commission payments cannot be processed until your transaction is 100% complete and fully compliant with PREC standards. Your broker is legally prohibited from releasing commissions if there are missing and incomplete documents on file. All right, so please read that again, because I get nasty grants all the time. You need to pay me now. I can't pay you. I cannot pay you. The Real Estate Commission says that we cannot pay you until your file is complete. Let me explain to you why. The minute I pay out a file with an incomplete federal or state compliance issue, takes all of the liability and responsibility off of you and places it solely in my lap. I will not do that. I think that I have a job to do and the agents have a job to do, and we both need to do our jobs. I have to show up. Everybody has to show up. I'm not being a big fat meanie, I promise. I'm not being a big fat meanie. I want to pay you as quickly as possible. I can't touch that money. I can't use that money. It sits in an escrow account until you get paid. So we have TCs here who are absolutely willing to help you out, look at your documents, tell you how to fix them, tell you how to get them in. If you don't have time to upload them, just call your TC and say, hey, can you upload this for me? I'm a million different places and I just can't get to it. And I promise you that they will. All right. But we want to make sure that everybody stays out of orange. None of you look great in orange, and I'm a blonde, so I don't look good in orange either, man. Okay. So just make sure you get your documents in. To help you stay organized and maintain compliance, we use SkySlope. Most of you guys know how to do that. If you are new and just learning SkySlope, you'll learn more about it. Each file is reviewed by a compliance coordinator or the broker to ensure everything meets state guidelines. So we have to approve that. The girls here look at those documents all day, every day. If a document is missing, unsigned, or incomplete, you will receive a notification to your email letting you know how to fix this issue so that it can be approved. And once your SkySlope file is marked complete or approved, your broker can proceed with the commission disbursement. Our system is set up through our corporate office that until it is completely approved, until all of the check boxes are checked, we couldn't push it through to the accounting department, even if we wanted to. So they have a hard stop, not permitting us to do that because it is a liability issue. So again, not being a big fat meanie, I can't pay even if I wanted to. All right, so what do? We log into SkySlope. You can do that from your one login, and you're going to see that I have a screen capture of what one of these SkySlope checklists look like. So you're going to see it has the agreement of sale and a consumer notice and a buyer agency agreement. It has these little red, green, yellow lights that tell you, has it been completed? Is it approved? Did you upload the right document? Did you make sure it was for the right property or the right consumer? Sometimes that happens. We upload, incorrect PDFs because they all look the same. So your TCs are looking for that, and they want to make sure that if your account is ever audited, that you're good to go. So once they're good to go, they will turn them green and you are good to go. Once they are all green, then they can approve it, push it forward, and send it to commission. So to access your transaction from the dashboard, you're going to click Manage Transactions, locate the current property file on your list. You can also search by the address name or the client name, and then you click on the transaction to open the file. Once you're inside the transaction, click Checklist tab at the top, and then you'll see a list of the required documents for that type of transaction. Now, if you want to upload documents, you're going to go to the Attach button, and then you're going to select the appropriate file from your computer, or you can drag it and drop it. Okay, so if you have it on your computer or on your desktop, or if you have it, just drag it and drop it into there, and it's going to circle around. It'll upload it right into your system. After that, you can submit it for review, and it will attach the checklist item, and it will send your TC a message that says they have a document to review. Later on, you can come back and check the status because they're doing this in the background. So all we want you to do is throw it in there and you can walk away. The TCs will look at it, make sure it's good. They'll approve it and you're set to go. All right. So that is how we get from showing houses to under contract. Those are your most important steps. Don't worry if you need to do from contract to close because we have trainings on that. And if you're in the mentor program, your mentor also goes over that information with you in great detail. Open it up. Who's got questions? Quiet. Quiet.
I don't have a question, but something I kind of started doing because I know you had talked about like kind of preparing your buyers. So it's not like when we go over everything with them, it's like overwhelming because it's a very lengthy document.
It is.
And even just the inspections alone that you can add on to this, or there's quite a few of them. So I've kind of begun to go over those as we're seeing houses. So that way they can kind of think about those like way before ahead of time, like, okay, what's important to us? Like, what are these inspections and in the house that we actually end up putting an offer in? What are the ones that are important to us? So I just kind of began to kind of go over those with them way ahead of time now. So they have time to think about. Yeah.
Yeah, I love that because then when the offer comes over and you're giving them the options, they already know what you're talking about. It already sounds familiar. No, I love that.
Although I did have a question, because there's a few parts within like the disclosures that are options, right? Or even I tend to with the inspections, I tend to get the answers ahead of time because in SkySlope, when you go to the signature area, it shows that they can sign for either one. Now, how do you handle that? Like, when like the lead-based paint, they have an option to waive or they have an option to inspect, right? Do you go over that ahead of time so that you're not giving them options? Because they always mess that up. Every time I've ever given them the option and I tell them about it, they don't read it.
They don't understand the form. They're not reading the form, which is why it is important to ask those questions ahead of time. Is this a home where you want to have a lead-based paint test? There is a selection for that. And I would just let them know, like they say, no, I don't want a lead-based paint. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and elect that. But if you change your mind, just let me know because I'll have to change the format on that page. So, I always say, like, are you getting, you have the option of a home, pest, well, radon, septic, and they say, oh, we want a home and pest. Okay, well, I'm going to go ahead and make sure that those are elected. Just remember that these other inspections, they are available. So if you change your mind and if you do want to elect them, that's fine. Just let me know and I'll pull the document back and then I can drag that section over. So no, even with the inspections, they'll initial waived and elected because they're not reading it. That these e-signatures go so quickly that it's like it's impossible to read because they're so quick. And half the time they're signing on their mobile device. So the documents are so small. Never assume that your clients are reading these documents. They're not reading them. I can't say never, but there will be people who don't read them. So it's important that we're informing them of what they're signing. It's all ultimately up to them to read it. We're not taking responsibility for them not reading their documents because they should, but we all know that some people just don't. All right. Well, if there's no other questions, I'm going to shut up now. I'm going to stop recording and I will hang out on the call like I always do in case anybody has a message.